So what is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be showing you guys one of the most popular builds in the Division 2 ever since its release back in, I forget which update it was. I want to say, wasn't this on Warlords? This build has been a very popular build. And the reason why is because it has a lot of survivability and a lot of damage. But not only that, if you think about it, this build works with even lower shade levels. And I tested this out with, I think it was like 100, it was a little bit above 100 shade level account. And it had no expertise level and the build worked perfectly fine. The big difference was I did have to tweak a little bit more weapon damage versus armor. As you guys will see in this build, we have a ton of armor. As you can see in the gameplay, lots of armor. And I believe a lot of you guys will enjoy it. Now, I always recommend this being like one of the first builds you build if you're not going to build, I want to say, if you're not going to build a skill build, well, this one right here will definitely work really good. This is the one that I actually do to do harder content. And what I recommend starting off if you're new or returning, to make sure that you guys start on maybe hard, challenging, get the pieces in place, right? You don't have to have exactly the pieces, but get them in place. And they don't have to be God rolled, and then slowly advance them. And that's what I did with that newer account. I think I was already doing heroic content, and I slowly started with hard, went to challenging. Once I got challenging pieces that had a little bit better rolls, then I bumped that up, and then obviously I had the build that I needed. But yeah, Hunter's Fury definitely is one of the top builds for new returning players, and I think a lot of you guys will enjoy this one. A super tank, as you guys seen, I mean, I really didn't have any issues, and I was playing solo and I was playing heroic content. I was actually doing those heroic control points. But let's get into the build and I'll show you more gameplay as we break it down. So right here, you guys see right off the bat, we have a 4-piece Hunter's Fury. We do have a Badger Tough piece and we do have a Memento backpack. I really feel like Memento backpack is one of the best in slot pieces for solo players, just because it does so much for you. And that's why I think the new backpack, the Ninja Bike Messenger bag, can do that only if we have a red, blue, and yellow core. If we don't, then it just might not work. So let's get into the build and talk about it. So we have a Scorpio shotgun, which has 1.1 million armor on this build. We have 14% weapon damage. As I said, this is where if you don't have any expertise level, well, you might have to drop this down a little bit. Might have to go with like 1.5 million armor versus 1.7. Now we have shotgun damage, damage to armor, and critical damage that always rolls on the Scorpio. And obviously you guys know Septic Shock is a monster of a talent, and that's why it's so good and probably one of the better exotics in the game. Probably top 5, top 3 exotics in the game as an all-around weapon, and this is why. And obviously you guys see here, very good, works very well. And if you guys can work on farming that one, highly recommend it. For the secondary, you can run whatever you want. I have the Dark Winter, it doesn't really matter what you have here. The Scorpio is going to be your go-to and what you use 99% of the time. So we get into our first piece of Hunter's Fury, which is the mask. We have 15% shotgun damage, 15% SMG damage. So that's why we're running a 2-piece, right? Because we're running a Scorpio, which is a shotgun. 3-piece, it gives us 20% armor on kill, plus we're running the Gunner class that gives us another 10% armor on kill, and we get 100% health on kill after every kill. So a big chunk of armor coming back, and you'll see how much we have in a second. Now, enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff, amplifying your weapon damage against them by 20%. Killing a debuff enemy with your weapon disorients other enemies within 5 meters and amplifies weapon damage by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So we have armor on here, we have critical damage, and we have critical hit chance. So exactly how you guys want to run this right here. We have 3% armor expertise on the mask. For the chest, we're running the 0F's chest. Now this gives us 10% shotgun damage, plus we have armor on here. We have critical damage, critical chance, and a critical hit chance mod. And then what the Badger Tough chest does, or sorry, the 0F's Badger Tough chest does is it gives us perfectly unbreakable. When your armor is depleted, you repair 100% of your armor. That cooldown is 55 seconds, but 100% of your armor, 1.7 million armor, I get back instantly. This is a lifesaver. This will get you through that, and then you add that with the armor on kill. Very, very good. For our second piece of Badger Tough, we have the holster, and this is gonna have armor, critical damage, and we have level 11 expertise armor on this one. We have the knee pads, which have weapon damage and critical hit chance. And we have the gloves, which have armor and critical hit damage. Now for the backpack, this is very key with this build because think about it. It gives us armor roll, gives us weapon damage roll, and gives us a skill tier roll. Plus I have 11% armor expertise on there, and I have 6% critical hit chance. Now Key Confirm is so good because remember, when I do pick up a trophy, every time I pick one, I'm gonna have an additional 10% weapon damage on the build, so that means my shotgun's getting harder. Now I'm also going to get 50% bonus armor. Yes, 50% bonus armor of 1.7 million armor. So a huge chunk, right? And that's gonna last 10 seconds. And that will, if you pick that up, they have to eat through that armor just to get to your regular armor. And then we get 5% skill efficiency, which is gonna help my skills. Now, remember, once I'm at max stack, and this is gonna last for 300 seconds, and max stack means every time I pick up a trophy, once I get 30 of them, I'll have max stack. And you can keep refreshing this by just picking up one, and that 300-second timer is going to reset. So for every trophy you collected, you get 30% weapon damage. You get 1% for everyone, so once you get 30, it's 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, and 3% armor regen. And that's why on this build, as you guys are seeing, it just works very well. And you shouldn't be dying once you're at max stack because you have that extra 30% weapon damage. You have that extra armor every time you're up close. And you can switch out the skills. And if you really want to make this a little bit tankier, well, you can put the Crusader Shield and then block a lot of those bullets. You saw in the gameplay right here, I'm not running around with the Crusader Shield, but you can run the Crusader Shield and it will work really well with this build. And that's something for you guys really just to keep in mind when you guys are running this build. Now, if we look, I am running the Banshee Pulse. It's something that you can only get with running the Gunner class. So if you guys decide you guys want to run something else, highly recommend the Crusader Shield. And on this build, it will be tier 6. So that means it's going to have 4.7 million armor. It's a very, very strong shield for a Crusader Shield. And you pair that up with the amount of armor I have, you're almost unkillable. And then I like the Defender Drone. If you guys feel like you go down, we'll maybe put the Reviver Hive, but Defender Drone and the Crusader Shield, you shouldn't die. Now, if you want to be a little bit more crazy, well, run the Banshee Shield like me. So if we check out the stats real quick, you'll see that we have 943,000 weapon damage. But remember, this is up to 1.1 million once we're at max stack. We have 50% crit chance, 103 critical hit damage, 65% weapon damage, and 12% armor regen. Plus, if you go over to our defensive stats, you'll see that we get 509,000 armor on kill, which is crazy, right? And then with the armor regen, it's actually at 50% when you're max stack, as you guys are seeing in this little clip right here that I did once I had max stack. So that's something for you guys to really keep in mind. This build right here should not give you any trouble to clear most of those harder difficulties, especially if you're a solo player and you just don't want to play with anybody. Highly recommend trying it out. This build, a solid build. You can run it at lower shade levels, as I said. Just make sure that you guys maybe, instead of 1.7 million, maybe run 1.5, run that Crusader Shield, and then you should be good there. But yeah, honestly works. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, test it out. Let me know, is this a build you've tried or is this a build you're going to? I know we have a lot of new and returning players starting back on this game, and I think this is a great build for you. Wrap it up here. Hey, thanks again. See you guys in the next one. Nothing but skills out.